Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part number 2 of the Tamiya 1/35th scale German 3.5 ton truck with 3.7 centimeter Flak 37 anti-aircraft gun. Wow. Alright, in the intro I described the kit, what I was going to do with it, so today we're actually going to start working on it. So let's flip the old book around here. And we will start with, oddly enough, step number 1, which is the chassis. So what I'm going to do, I'll cut all these parts off and we'll take a look at them and start putting them together. Now I'm looking here for some paint instructions and I'm not seeing any for the underside of the vehicle. So that brings into question, what color would that be? I'm wondering if it would be the actual color of the vehicle or something else. So I think I'm gonna have to check that out. All right, so let's get some parts cut off. So we need parts A1 and A2. Okay, real quick light, I've got all these parts cleaned up. Just wanna make a few comments. Number one, I kinda like the plastic on this. It is not as soft as, say, Dragon, but not as hard as some other manufacturers. Just scraping the seam lines off, it just seems easy to work with. I'll find out more when I start gluing it. But plastic composition is a thing, and you know, it can make a difference. But so far so good. Detail's good, it's easy to clean up. So yeah, that's the plastic. The cleanup I am doing, some things I'm not worrying about too much. Like mold seam lines up here on this part, I'm not cleaning those off. Call me lazy, call me a slug, call me a good for nothing deadbeat, I don't care. But some stuff, if I don't need to clean it up, I'm not going to clean it up. Just like if I don't need to paint it or weather it, I'm not going to paint it or weather it. Partially it's because I don't want to mess with it. Partially it's because, you know, I can get a job or a kid done quicker. And I'm not in a race or anything, but sometimes, you know, I just like to move along. As for the paint, I think my idea is this. The underneath of the vehicle, now all the stuff that I'm going to say right now is pure supposition and or fiction. I don't know a thing about these trucks, their usage. I could probably research it some answers I wouldn't be able to find, I'm sure. So I'm looking at it like this. The French had it in a given color. I don't know, green, gray, black underneath, I don't know. But when the Germans got it, they sprayed the stuff Dunkelgelb to match everything else in their arsenal. So what I'm going to do is, when I paint this thing, I am going to paint this as if it were a civilian vehicle or French military first, and have it look like it came out of the factory, whether it's black or a dark gray. I'll probably go with a really dark gray or a faded black, something like that. And then, whenever I do some yellow, I'm going to make it look like they didn't really do a bang-up job of painting the framework underneath. There'll be some overspray and stuff like that, including the fuel tanks that are stuck on the sides. You know, the outside part is going to be Dunkelgelb, dark, you know, German yellow, but the inner parts may not be painted as nicely. Now, it may come off looking like I did a crummy paint job, but I'm going to attempt it. And that will be my story, and I will stick with it. And, you know, once I get dirt and dust and all that kind of stuff on there, it's kind of gonna, you know, probably not matter as much anyway. But anyway, that is my plan. So, with that said, now we're ready to start gluing some of this stuff on here. So we got this letter K here first. I'm going to start with this one. This goes, the framework, these little pointy things, they will face up during construction, just like the instructions say. So this goes here, it looks like. So let's do this. Whoa, I'm swatting stuff around. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I need to glue these parts together because these are stacked. So this right here is part 38 and 45. Now in the instructions, they show an illustration of how they go together and how they should look from the end. So like there's like a kind of an indentation, kind of a bend up, goes on that side, it looks like. So that's correct, and that looks correct. Yeah, that looks like it goes like that. So got that right there, fits good. So I'll just get a little dab of the old extra thin. A little bit there. A little bit there. Like that. Okay, so we gotta let that dry. I'm going to put a little bit right here as well, and right here, like that. Okay, then I'll set that down the direction it goes. Then we got to do the same thing here. This one is offset that way. Well, let's zoom this in so you can see what I'm talking about. See this indentation here? It's more on that side. Just in case, I don't know if I need to do this, but I'm going to trim that off, that checktoid mark. Okay, then this part has a little bit of offset too, it looks like. And yes, and it goes on that side like that. So same thing. A little bit of cement there. A little bit of cement there. And that will go like that. Let me zoom back out. You can see what's going on. All right, so this part goes here. Be interesting to see how well this lines up. Let's see. Looks like I'm gonna set these parts outside here. These are all in the order in which they go underneath on this here framework. Okay, so that goes there, that goes there, that goes there like that. So I'm gonna have to make sure this stuff's all squared up. Okay, that goes there. So then I'm going to, this part here, goes on here, and it looks like it's symmetrical, like there's no top and bottom. So we should be good to go. I am going to get the seam lines off of this part right here that goes inside the framework, because I don't want to have anything. I don't know how close the tolerances are on this kit. Some kits have a little bit of play, others don't. So I want to make sure that we're good there. Yeah, it's same top and bottom, so we're good. Same with that. So that goes there. So put a little bit of extra thin there and there. Make sure that's pressed in place. Make sure it's looking good. I'm gonna let that dry for just a minute before I try and mess around with putting it in that framework. All right, I'm gonna use this decrepit old cutting mat here to make sure this stuff is aligned properly. Now it's not going to fit exactly because, you know, we got some probably weird sizes, but at least I'll be able to eyeball it enough. Oh, crikey. That I can line it up. So, like, oh my goodness, man. There we go. All right, so now I'm really gonna have to eyeball it because it looks, oh geez. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Dad, blame it. Gonna do this like that. Holy macaroni. Oh, geez. Okay. There we go. Holy Jacomari. Okay, so got that. Now let's. I should probably go down the line. So that's what I'm going to do. So neck. Oh, this part goes in the front. Okay, and the angled part goes up. The instructions clearly show it goes up, and there's like a little block here that goes in that little recess there. So like that. Okay, so just a real quick observation on ICM, or a lot of manufacturers compared to Tamiya. Tamiya would most likely mold most of that in one piece, and a few little pieces will be glued on. Is that better? No, not necessarily, but it is a way they would do it, and sometimes it kind of helps. All right, so we got that glued there, so let's make sure it's pressed up against that completely flatly. Here's some grammar for you. Can't tell if this is warped or if it's supposed to be that way, so gonna have to pay attention here as I'm putting this stuff together. So this one goes, you can't see it because of the way it's set up now, but there's like a little recess right there where this part drops in. So using these tweezers of death, it goes there. Oh man, in there. Oh, is that right? Yep, it goes on that side. There's like some little dividers, and that's where they go. But does it go level, or does it go at that weird angle? I think it goes level like that. There we go. All right, so we got that. Then the next one is this, and there are a couple of little posts that kind of stick down there. So I think what I might do here is glue one side and then just come back and glue the other side. This is going to be precarious. there like that. I haven't put any glue on this one, so I'm going to put a little bit extra thin right there. I think that's where the engine mounts, so it's probably got to be level. Alright, then we have this little skinny job here, and again, there's a long slide and a short side. Short side goes to the left, and that fits. Some very tiny notches right there, and that's where it goes. I'm going to hold off on that one. So next we got this big brace here. It's the same thing. It goes right there. Okay, you get the idea. I don't want to take forever with video time here because it's a bit tedious. So once I get all these parts in here, I will be back. Alright, so there it is, all glued up. I got it clamped. This small piece I will put on after this is all dried. And in looking at it, it is quite straight. And it seems to be square. And by square, I mean, you know, parallel, perpendicular, right angles, 90-degree angles, flat top, blockhead. Anybody get that one? Now for step 2. First thing I need to do is cut off these leaf springs, these things here, and that bar there. All that complicated terminology, I know. And I'll go ahead and get these cut off at the same time. So I need and I've got this position like the instructions, so as I cut parts off, I'll put them on the appropriate side. So we got A72, which is this one. A78, and so on. Quick note, earlier on I mentioned that I really kind of liked the plastic. Seemed like it was kind of somewhat soft without being really soft. Real fine parts like this is when that is definitely a plus. If you get a nice sharp pair of cutters like these here Tamiya ones, you can cut these things off without fear of breaking these really small parts, or really thin, fine parts, I should say. Last part I need is a 5. Alright, so we got this goes there and there. And they seem to sit pretty good without having to manipulate it around too much. So that's kind of groovy. So for this, I'm going to use this cement here. A little there, a little there. Can't get them backwards because there's a large square and a small square, so it's pretty easy to get them in the right place. at it, make sure it is at a 90 degrees to the frame. Okay, let's do this one here. Same thing there and there. Nice. All right. Then we got these here. Okay. So this end here has a small pin that goes in that hole, whoops, that hole right there. So it kind of goes like, probably could have put these on first, but it doesn't specify. And then on this side here, there's like a little indentation, and on this there are a couple of, I don't know, call them straps that kind of go across. So for this, I'm going to use Tamiya extra thin, thusly. And then same on this end here, like that. This stuff's fitting pretty well. Pretty positive fit considering these are such small parts. So that goes there, like that. And then that one goes there. Whoops. So, a little bit of cement there. Squeeze it in place. Nice. And a little bit there. So we got those, and those look pretty squared up. And then this, there are a couple of holes. One there. It helps that I'm shaking all over tarnation. There's a little bit of fuzzy business on there, so let's get that off. Try it again. Okay, you see how it's supposed to go. I'm going to do it off camera because it's taking up too much time. I popped it into place, and a little bit of cement there, a little bit of cement there. Give a little squeeze, and it looks like we're good. It is thin enough that it has to be flexed in any way to get something to fit. It'll work. All right, so next we got to do A50 and 51, which is the differential. Okay, the differential's in place. So I put the two parts together, very simple. There are rectangular pins on the top of the leaf spring here that clamp, and whoops, I haven't glued that yet. Haha. but I cut those pins off because they were just a little bit large to fit into the corresponding holes on these simulated clamps here. So I chopped those off, and they still line up perfectly, and it fits nicely. So just like that, it's easy to line them up. And that concludes step 2. Step 3 is kind of the same. So I need to cut off A77, 71, A15, and A19. And again, I have this positioned to match the instructions. So let's cut those parts off. We've got 71 on that side, 77 on this side, and A15. Sometimes there are these things here, these little tab looking deals that are used to eject especially smaller parts out. So sometimes they're in weird places, like right here. So this one had one right there down in the middle of that semicircle deal that's supposed to go over something else. So those can be a little trickier, but they are not impossible to get cleaned off. In this case, what I did is I just used my cutter at an angle like that to kind of cut it from both sides. And then use a small file, like I have a small round file here that will fit in there to clean that off. It's actually not on the round piece, it's on the flat piece, so it's really easy to get cleaned off. Probably even use a knife, come at it from this direction here and then straight down, but you know, it's not necessary. But yeah, sometimes they're in weird places, but better there than something that you can see. All right, so those are cleaned up. All right, so this right here where I said that ejector tab was, or whatever you want to call it, it is pretty important that that is clean and totally flat, because the flat part fits on top of this here. So you don't want it having a high spot. Okay, so fits like this right there, and then that one fits right there in that little groove. All right, so let's get some extra thin there, and there, and there. And make sure it is vertical. Like that. And once it dries, I can cut those two little bits of sprue gate left over. I put the wrong one on first. And this one goes on that side. Like that. Whoops. Extra thin. smashed on there. Make sure they are parallel and perpendicular to the frame. Okay, then this tie rod needs to be glued here. Here and here. So some extra thin, a little bit there. And then a little bit there. Make sure it's pressed in like that. Make sure it is lined up properly. And then this goes right there, like that. Hold it in place. Extra thin there and there. And use my tweezers. Make sure it's level. Yeah, that's bottomed out good. Give it a good squeeze. Like that. Make sure it is the right angle. That qualifies as fragile. Check the illustration. Yeah, see this little pin here is supposed to point forward. This tie rod thing faces backwards. So we are good. That takes care of step 3. Step 4, we've got these things right here. I went blank on what those were called, but we have number 16 and number 17. A16 goes on that side over there. 17 on this side. Alright, on this part there is a small rectangular pin that goes in there, and then this little tab fits right up underneath there. So make sure, yeah, that fits good there. These parts are fragile, so don't be breaking them. Whoops. Let us try that again. Okay, that one goes in there. And that goes there. Ah. Oh my goodness, okay. Okay, got it in place. So I need to get some glue on here and get this part affixed first. Like that. And then this part right here. So I'm gonna squeeze it together, get my extra thin, like that. Hold it for a second. Voila. That one's kind of tricky. That takes a little bit of finesse. All right, so I'm going to do the other one off camera. All right, got those. Now I need to A8. A8, A9. This needs to be flipped over for this part. A8, A9, A61, A60. Okay, first we got this ultra tiny little fender. I don't know what this is, but it fits. Right there. Before I glue that one on though, I am going to clean that off because I don't know if that's going to show, and I don't want that mold seam line to be visible because it'll really show up with weathering. Okay, that's better. So that goes there like that. A little bit of that extra thin stuff. Okay, that looks good. And then right here, this piece goes, and there is bolt detail, and that needs to face up according to the illustration. Oh, yeah, it's this bottom part right here is angled to match the angle of that inner part of the framework there. So, whoop, there we go. Fits like that. Just jolly. Oh man. Wowzers. There we go. Just like that. All right. Put a little bit more since it slid around. All right. And then I'll do the same thing for the other side over here. All right. With the end of step 4, I think I'm also going to end this video right here. Next time, when I come back for part 3, I will have this primed and painted in the base color and ready to go for the engine, starting with step 5. So we'll come back, get that built, the exhaust, all the other stuff, get that mounted on the frame. We'll be able to roll on. So if you enjoyed this video, you want to see more of this kit come together, hit the subscribe button, notification button, whatever you got to hit in order to be notified when I post the next video. Yeah, so that's it. End of part number 2 of the Tamiya 1/35 scale German 3.5 ton truck with 3.7 centimeter flak 37 anti-aircraft gun. As always, thanks for joining me here on Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and have a jolly day.